Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander, remembering always if it's weird, we're here, and so are you, so stop staring at me, okay? We're giving you advice and insight on outlandish topics, and the phone lines are always open at 1-888-919-2355, but I do understand you guys are listening to me after the fact, so it's all good. So we're going to have fun tonight because I have a very, very interesting guest, okay? It is Paul Wesley, a.k.a. Prince Truth Chaser. And he is a universalist, activist, alien abductee survivor, love that, and love vibrational self-empowerment teacher. You can find his work at princetruthchaser.com. Everybody, round of applause for Paul Wesley. Oh, they're going crazy, Paul. Oh, my gosh. Calm it down, ladies. Jeez. My gosh. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm doing amazing, even more amazing because I get to talk to, you on the interview tonight, and thanks for having me on.
Oh, are you kidding me? Come on now. Come on. It's me you're talking about, Paul.
Hey, well, let's get this started. I mean, but still, I mean, it's great to be on, and great to be able to spread what I have to share with everyone, and for everyone who's listening, you're going to hear raw, real truth. So get ready, get your popcorn ready, sit back, and feel free to call in.
Love it. I love it. So what is the Prince Truth Chaser all about? Let's hear that. Let's hear it.
Well, it's not too complicated. When I was little, my mom used to call me our little prince, and Truth Chaser kind of came in because wherever you think you find the truth, you always figure out that wherever you think it's the truth, there's something else. I kind of went hand in hand, the prince and the Truth Chaser. I'm just basically about truth. I'm about self-empowerment for not only myself, but for everyone else, and how important it is to merge together not only positivity and activism and changing the world, but also in universalism, because it goes hand to hand. And when we take a look at what goes on around us with the elitists and the ones who hold society down, we realize that they're very, very, very universally smart. So if we're going to catch up with these guys, we got to merge everything together. But yeah,
I like that. I like the sound of that. I totally get what you're saying. So you essentially, I mean, you're a person that doesn't sit back idly and go, let the next person take care of that. Does that kind of bug you when you meet people like that? Because I know I work tirelessly on the stuff I believe in. So,
right.
How do you feel?
I love this one already. I just want to say that question alone is amazing because, I get frustrated. I get frustrated, but I also realize that 85% of humanity is under mass mind control through television, through gadget gadgets, and this has been going on for a very long time. So when I find myself getting frustrated that a lot of people are asleep to not only truth, but to love vibration, I do get upset about it. I do get depressed when I see what we're up against. But it's just, the responses I get from people, both positive and negative, really, it puts the wood in the fire. It really keeps me going because on one hand you get, hey, keep on doing a great job, and on the other hand I get, hey, look, you're crazy, and you're against the government. And so the negative comes, it's like, okay, buddy, I soak it in, and that keeps me going. But I do get upset, but it's something that as individuals that know what we know, it's just something that you have to expect.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I was there. I was like, gosh, how could people sit on their butt and just let their butt take the form of their chair and not get off from it? It's just, it was so frustrating. But then I started to feel sorry for them because they don't know and they can't relate. And they haven't been shown things that are, outside of their little realm of reality. And it's like, oh, that's why people like myself are here, so we could kind of break it down and not get angry with them, and just show them a different way. And I learned that, having a sense of humor about it has helped for myself because sometimes you just got to laugh, Paul. You really do, because you'll go crazy if you don't. Really will.
You'll go completely insane. And, a lot of people do sit on their butts.
Yeah. But, I don't know what it would be like to, I'm a therapist. I do my 9 to 5. I come home. I work more on this stuff, and I try to get people to snap out of these crazy little corners that they're in. And, and I love it. I love that I have these things to do, but I don't know what it would be like to come home. Can you cook dinner now? well, I'm going to go and tidy up the the living room. I'm like, I have no time for that. I'm like, I come in, I put my coat down. I'm like, oh, the coat fell on the floor. I could step over it. Look, I could clear that pretty good. I got to get to my computer, and it's a very odd, passion-driven field that we find ourselves in.
It's great to be alive. It's great to be alive, and in this existence that we live in. I absolutely agree, because like I Facebook off my phone. I got one of them $700 SG4s. Androids. So I don't even use a computer, but I'm telling you, like it's like a high for me to be able to go and protest in front of hundreds of people. It's like if you have a football player, when they walk out in that stadium, the energy that they feel, knowing that I get to do what I do and go on radio shows like this and interview people myself. Yeah. And just to, get out and feel that energy of truth and of love. It's amazing. It's kind of like, I wouldn't do anything else. My motor runs 24/7. So, I see these people, like you say. I mean, you walk around and they're just in their house and they're just like, and they're like, oh, look at me, I got my new phone, I got my new tablet, I'm special. Like, nah, you have no idea, but you have no clue.
I get it. So, what is it that you're passionate about, and what is it that your activism is focused on?
Man, my activism, I stutter, but my activism is everything. I'm the first person to ever confront the media in Philadelphia, every single media, Fox News, Channel 3, Channel 10, whatever. The chemtrails I did in Philly, I didn't start in Monsanto, but I covered everything. So I can't really put activism as like some people just say, well, I fight Monsanto or I fight this. I do everything, because I think that when we limit ourselves to just one thing, we limit our minds. And again, since my motor runs 24/7, I mean, our air's poison, our water's poison, our food's poison. There's aliens that are trying to recycle humanity. Our world leaders are working with them, and it's freaking crazy. And, I've interviewed a cultist. I've talked to a dark occultist, and I'm telling you, it's for me, it's just, you have to cover everything. You can't just cover one thing, because, and like you said, you have to have a sense of humor, because you go freaking insane.
It's so true. It's so true. It's like, for myself, it's like, I never thought, like, I write about shadow people. I'm not going to write about, Jesus encounters, for crying out loud. I didn't think twice about it. It's like, look, my fingers work. I can type. Let me write this, and my mouth still works. Let me talk to people. It's, I don't think that we should limit ourselves and be just focused in on the one thing. So
and here's the thing. Like, I've seen a shadow person, and I tried to talk to one person about it. Okay, Heidi, and they're like, oh, well, that's evil. Oh, yeah, it's evil, but you're not giving me a base. I have to have you on my show, because I do like a little part-time thing. And I have people that are local activists that are superstars, like, if you would want to call it that, like Stuart Swirlo I had on, Peggy Kane I had on. So I would love to have you on the show and really get into the meat and gravy with shadow people with you. We're probably going to cover a little bit about tonight, I hope, because the one thing with me is a lot of people have been abducted. I myself, I've been abducted since the age of about 6 years old. About 3 years ago, I kind of broke through that and self-empowered myself. People say, well, how can you do that? Well, I think what with me was, I said, okay, well, I've been taken so many times, but why? Okay? And then when you ask yourself why, you have to understand. I started studying, like, the history of planet Earth, how Earth is hollow, the reptilian beings that live among us, their history. I wanted to know everything about them, because when I found out that the Draconian reptilians work with our government and control these graves that are like pawns and slaves and taking everyone, I want to say, you know what? I want to study the badasses of the universe, the big bosses of the universe, and that's what I did. And it's an honorable race. It's a very not all of them are evil, not all of them are slave runners, but the ones on the planet that hold the cards are. So I really wanted to empower myself to understand them, and then from doing that, understand how I can stop the experiences that I was having. And it really helped. And I was, from doing that and being positive and pumping out love vibrations not only within myself, but to others, I was contacted by more positive, higher dimensional beings, like the feline species. A lot of people haven't heard of them. They say, well, who's that? There's been a Sphinx found underneath the ocean. There's a Sphinx on Mars. There's a Sphinx on Earth.
All right.
So, so it's just honestly, I pretty much came from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
From a guy who just hung out at parties, went to bars, drunk. This was me. Your everyday football playing, street football, whatever. I went to the Arkansas State University, a high school graduate. Yeah, I've done I had more women than you can think of. So
you were a jock. Just say it, Paul. You were a jock.
I was a yeah. but here's the thing: is that when I first woke up, though, Heidi, when I first woke up, it was like I just looked in the sky and I'm like, what in the heck is this? And I seen it, and from there I started looking at links like Alex Jones and different places. And when I went from that, I went to the whole alien aspect of what's going on, and I got really, really, really angry because when you find out that we're all slaves on this planet, I mean, think about. We're going to get into that, but you get angry. Mm-hmm. And then I went from angry to love and understanding, and then back to angry and then back to love. So it's and then I'm kind of at a point in my life now where I'm just saying, okay, it's all about accepting the way things are and figuring out how to change things. Because if we're all screwed, we have to make sure that we can open up doors to others to where they have an individual choice. It's kind of like a ripple effect,
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Wait, can we? I want to hear, what was one of your more involved alien abductions, and how did you come to realize what was happening to you?
Well, see, when you're first abducted, you don't realize what's happening. You see these ugly, they take some use to getting looked into, even the reptilians. It takes some time to get used to this stuff. So you see, you wake up and you see these beings with obviously abnormal, large gray heads that are staring at you with big eyes, and the next thing you know, you can't move, and you find yourself, you're floating through the window, and with me was, I'm grabbing one of the, because I'm in the city, I'm in Philadelphia, millions of people, I was in I grew up in the hood. I didn't grow up rich. I literally, went to college and did everything myself, but, literally everything I'm doing now was self-empowerment. That's why I push self-empowerment. But, so astral travel through the window, and, in dream state, you have the memories of being abducted. And I was getting out of the military, and I've seen a girl who shape-shifted. I talked about this on many other radio shows I was on.
I've seen it.
I can't give names because I will be sued.
That's okay.
Or beat up, one of the two, or beat up. But yes, I seen that we were passionately hooking up, and her left side of her leg and her arm was rough, and it turned a dark brown. And at the time, I wasn't nowhere near with the experience that I have now and what I do. So, and I wasn't scared. That's the weird thing. And then after this event happened, I had this overwhelming.
Dark brown. Did it look reptilian-like?
Absolutely. It looked like a monitor. You ever have a monitor lizard? The brown ones?
Yes. Oh, okay.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Right. So everyone thinks
did you throw her out of the room? I mean, what happened?
No. You hear all these stories about people that just toss, they see the tail, women say, well, he's on top of me, and I throw him. It was weird because I kept on going. And that doesn't make me a pig because I didn't know. I mean, you don't know, I'm a passionate man. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. I was completely sober. We both were. It was Valentine's Day. We were having our thing, and It just happens. And later on, as I progressed through information, I found out that through emotions, heightened emotions, that they shift. Also through anger. I've seen that too. You get one of Lizzie's, I'm going to call them Lizzie's, the reptilian, really angry, they will shift. Because we have to understand that these beings are they're very, I call them, what's that word I use? Hissy. I use the word hissy. They're very jumpy, very hissy. They're very, very demanding, very controlling, very, not aggressive, because like I said, there's positive ones out there, but she was very playful, demanding. She was everything all at once. But the thing is that when I
confront her on this,
absolutely, we stopped. So I was in Virginia, And the weird thing is that I came from Philly. Well, when I got out of the airport, we coming from the Army. I left the Army. We messed around, and then it didn't happen until I actually went to Virginia, like months later. But you know, at that time, I was like, I didn't know what I'd seen, and years down the road, I had matter of fact, it was called. It's on my YouTube channel. You can find it. It's called UFO holographic hoax or reality. She friend requested me on Facebook. She was really ticked off. I can't believe that you're going to come out here and spread this stuff. Who do you think you are? Huh, mister, I'm going to reach thousands of people. This is what I got. That was what I call the hissy aggressiveness. Because, you know, apparently she was ticked off. So we talked on the phone, squashed most of it, and I asked her, because as a human being, I want to know if I'm going completely insane.
Of course.
Yeah, so I said, look, listen, I want to know, did I see what I seen when I was, you know, at your house? Because it was weird, because she was at her ex-husband's house, but he was never there, nothing. When you think about it, it was totally strange, okay? Right. So anyway, I asked her, and she's like, she's like, the only thing I want to tell you is, what if I told you if I was something that you're fighting against? And that broke my heart. Because now that I knew what I knew, I'm willing to say, hey, look, I accept you for who you are, and I can love you for who you are. I want to be positive about this. And she totally ripped me down, again, with the hissiness. But, you know, she totally was like, look, I was like, well, as long as you're not humans, and I don't hate you. And we kind of had a online thing. She just seems, I don't know. One minute she seems positive, the next minute she seems negative. It was rough.
She didn't say, I'm not bad. I'm a human being.
Not at all. No, not at all. Didn't say nothing. I kind of was under the impression, just through her interacting with me online, that she was monitoring me, watching me, which was weird. So, in the end, we got into an argument. I blocked her on all my social networks, and that's that. She got mad. I said, look, it is what it is.
It's a daunting task. I've been met with these so-called people before, too. It's a daunting task when you can't even trust that the person in front of you is a person. And I'm like,
it's crazy.
It is. And I cite in my book on these creatures and shadow people that you don't know who starts a riot in a crowd, because they're not all people, and they don't all have the best intentions for us. So you really don't know who to point the finger at. I highly doubt that mankind is bent on destroying itself, you know, making things worse for themselves. So who is? Well, it's it's a what. I
don't think mankind is hell-bent on destroying themselves, because, again, you know, like, I hate, and I always stress this on any show I go on, I hate when people say, well, you know, it's mankind's fault for the way things are going. It's really not, because explain that to the kid that's 10 years old that has cancer and doesn't know why. Explain, you know, that to the mother that, you know, has to eat GMOs because she can't afford to feed her family healthy food. Right. It's not mankind. It's a few old men and their family that want to run the world and that are working with these interdimensional beings that want to basically call off the population. What I mean by that is that there's 7 billion, if not 8 billion by now, people on planet Earth. And the thing is that these greedy psychopath parasites that run this world, what they want to do is they want to knock us down to a couple million, okay? So that way they have their slaves in place. And that's a win-win for everyone, because the Grey Zetas who are abducting people, their hybrid race gets to live on and even, you know, pretty much take over the planet. Not take over, but live here. The reptilians win, because guess what? They keep total... See, the one thing with the reptilians, they want total control of their homeland. We have to understand, these creatures think this is their homeland. And maybe it is. I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. I don't like the fact of, you know, hey, look, we're just going to slow kill you until we, you know, knock a couple millions and millions of you off. But, you know, my thing is that regardless what the situation is, you know, Phil Schneider, he worked in the underground bases. He was killed. Carla Turner, again, I'm mentioning her name. She was killed. How many scientists were killed that spoke up the same thing that I'm saying, talking about on this show? They were murdered. Okay, it's either a heart attack or it's cancer.
Yeah,
one of the two.
Yes, it's true. That's true.
And here's the thing. Though, Hottie. Listen, Hottie. I cover everything. It's only a matter of time before they shut me up. Listen, I get emails every week, threats, positive and negative. It's only a matter of time, because you know what though, and I'm not paranoid. I honestly don't care, because I know where my soul is going to go when I go, and my whole thing is, Heidi, is that I'm a threat because I reach activists. You understand? Like, you have people that, they're in the mind control field, or they're in the mind control subject, or the ones that are in UFOlogy. I'm everywhere. So I'm more of a threat than anything to these parasites, because when I'm done this show, it's going to get YouTube, and a bunch of activists are going to see it. So, and that's my goal, because I'm 33 years old, and it's great to say that I've lived my life. Like, it's been amazing.
Yeah. Well,
as depressing as it is, it's amazing. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, but it's, I understand. It's like the passion that drives you on this, and it's like, and trying to reach all these other people to, pick up a pitchfork and do something about the monster, living in the neighborhood, it's like, so, I mean, trust me, I've been doing this for a long time too, and it's something that I learned I had to take breaks and then go back to it. Take breaks and go back to it. Now I'm on this nice, even path where I'm like, okay, I know exactly where I need to be and how I need to feel, and not always take it in on myself to force the issue. How do you find balance in what it is that you do so you can have that energy to keep dispelling out there for people to get this stuff?
I love your questions. They're amazing because they're real. And that's the key. How do you go stop from going completely insane? I mean, I kind of love the fact I was brought up in the hood. I was brought up in the ghetto with nothing, and I was brought up rough, because that, I think, prepared me for what I'm doing now, because when everything hits the fan, I'm going to be ready. For the first 15 years of my life, I was the only, white kid in the whole neighborhood, so, hey, that happened,
Right.
And I love that aspect, because that keeps my sanity, to answer your question. Because how do I keep my sanity? I keep my sanity because I always go back to the norm, what people call normal. Like watching football games at the bar, or maybe going to a strip club if that's your thing. Whatever whatever gets you going. Spending time with family, spending time with my kids. That's what I do. So when it comes down to where I really hit a breaking point to where it's just like, it's overwhelming and it's too much for me, maybe I'll go to a bar and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Do think, and that's the thing that I think that a lot of people don't do, because a lot of people think.
Yeah.
You have to.
You really do. You really do. And do you get, I mean, I know for myself, I've seen alien beings that are the typical ones, those grays. And then I saw beings that, I mean, you don't hear about on the news. You don't see it in the movies.
You sure don't.
They are a different sort of being. Like, you're speaking of these feline aliens. I've heard of these. There's drawings online of them. In fact, I used them in a presentation of that I used to do all the time on these various types of beings that are more positive. So they're not the type to put their hands in people's business and in their lives. They are there to help when you are reaching to step above the negative beings that are here. And then they give you hints, but they don't sit there and puppeteer your life like these other beings do to, like, put the whammy on you to paralyze you. So I understand the challenge in trying to put the word out that, I saw a giant feline alien being, for crying out loud. I have friends that have seen a giant bird-like alien being. And
that too, yes. Absolutely.
Other types. In fact, my friend, Bug Tussle, he's in the chat room right now, and that's a being that he's had interactions with. So, I just called them out in the chat room, so they're all going to hit him up.
That's awesome. And I invite everyone to call in and chat.
Oh yeah, well, it's. I actually do have some questions that have been posed to me, but I'll to ask you. We'll ask that right after the break. But I wanted to also give you a chance. Now, you said that you spoke to these reptilian beings, or that you researched. You researched different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
So now you said
and there's
that
more than one.
You got some background as far as different types of reptilian beings. Now, I've been met with the bad and the good, too. And I want to hear a little bit about what you uncovered directly from these beings. It's like, tell us a story, because people love stories, and we have less than a minute before we have to go to break. But I want
real quick, I don't like people who like stories. I like people who like facts, and I'm not here to tell stories. I'm more here to tell facts.
Oh, that but it really helps. That being said, it does help.
Well, I mean, it could be story, but it'll be a story, a factual story, so it won't be just like a story. But
gotcha.
now, see, the thing is that I've talked to a positive reptilian being who was green in color. They range from white, which is the Draco, brown are the older race, the dark colored brown ones, and then you have the red, like a tinnish orange red. But anyway, so the positive experiences that I've had, I had a landlord who shapeshifted in front of me. I helped him carry a stove into his business, and he grabbed my hand. He said, "Paul, I want to thank you." And I said, "For what? What are you talking about?" He's like, "I want to thank you for being so positive." And then he gripped my hand hard, and I looked at him, and his whole face like shifted. His eyes slid and everything. And at that time, I knew what I was looking at, and I accepted it. Another positive experience that I had was just thank you. See, the thing is these beings have a neurological advantage over humanity. So even though he said thank you,
dude, I just saw that.
When you're in the moment like that, you just appreciate the moment. You appreciate the fact that it was shown to you.
Yeah.
So you really don't want to disrespect him as a being, because then he'll get probably pissed off and want to rip your head off.
We've got to get to our next break here. You guys are with me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander here on Inception Radio, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
Do you have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Just a reminder that Inception Radio Network is on Twitter. Follow us at I_R_N and keep up to date about who's on tonight, what interviews they'll be doing, who's guest spotting, what topics they'll be covering. Tweet to us, tweet about us, retweet topics to your friends, and most importantly, never miss a great show again. That's I_R_N.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty landline or cell phone and dial our call and listen lines at 832-280-0830 or 786-837-2262 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, those numbers are 832-280-0830 or 786-837-2262. For the Inception Radio Network, I'm MJ.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Hello, folks. Heidi Hollis is rocking the airwaves every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on IRN. But if you want to learn more about Heidi, check out her amazing website at www.HeidiHollis.com. For IRN, this is MJ.
Get advice on aliens to ghosts, demons to angels, and from shadow people to the outlandish. Explore the paranormal with Heidi Hollis. The Outlander.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander here on Inception Radio Network, and I'm talking with Paul Wesley. He is a very interesting person who really feels passionate about a lot of things that are going on in society, and I don't care what it is, if it's political or if it's alien. I mean, and that's the way to be. It's a way to be involved in this planet, you know? So, I mean, I applaud you for doing that and not limiting yourself, because I think a lot of people are like, well, I help plant trees and that's it. You know, no! You know?
Oh, this moment's great.
Totally doesn't make up for the world going down the crapper. So, but, you know, I wanted to ask you some of these questions that people are asking here in the chat room. And you would also, at the end there, you were talking about some of these reptilians that you'd bumped into and how you came to your conclusion. So I'll let you finish your thoughts on that and then get to some of these questions.
Well, just to wrap this up real quick, there's a lot of different things, a lot of different races. The white ones, obviously. I've seen the dark brown ones, and I've seen one of the green ones, but that was it. The only experiences that I've really had, Heidi, was with the landlord, with the girl I had encountered out of the Army. And other than that, I had a couple of dream state experiences, but not that that's not real, because it is, because these dudes are like masters of dream state. But if you want to go into the chat, then that'd be great.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. And I have a question I have to ask about, because I've seen the brown reptilian type, and then I've seen the more bright.
You're the first person I've heard that's seen them good. Right.
Yes, and the bright green ones. Now, what has been your experience with the brown ones versus the green ones? Because I know it might have been.
Well, you know, the brown ones seem a little rougher to me. Well,
yep.
The green ones don't seem as like evil to me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. I was in my basement, and it was I was in my basement, and there was this guy who was helping me fixing a bike in my basement, and automatically he was shapeshifted. His whole body, face, everything. He's like, now you really want to see? Now you get to see. He's like, and he looks at me, and he puts his arms on me, and I'm looking directly at this man. And, we start, like, hustling a little bit, and then he looks at me, and he's like, yeah, we exchange words, and he runs out of the house. And people who have row homes know what I'm talking about. You have, like, a basement window. He looked in the window. He goes, we're everywhere. And he, like, kind of screamed it. And
Give me chills, Paul. Really?
I'm telling you. And here's the thing, is that, I think, the weird thing is, I think a lot of, like, when you see, like, a lot of people say, like, with these people who shapeshift, it all seems to be white people. If you don't think Spanish people and black people shapeshift, if you think that it's only white folk who shapeshift, you're absolutely wrong.
Mm-hmm. God.
You're just absolutely wrong. Because actually, the brown race, they're the elder race of these reptilians, okay? They've been here the longest. The Draco are the white, they're the royalty, like Prince William and all them jokers. You have the white, you have the brown, you have the green, and I've never seen the tinnish orange or red. Not yet.
Interesting. Yeah, wow. I so hate the fact that these things are able to hide as well as they are able to. And I personally, I'm somebody who has seen a gray shapeshift right in front of my eyes into somebody I knew. A gray
Wow,
did
I've
it.
never seen that.
Yeah,
was it a person?
It was not cool. No.
It was the person, and they just manifested into a gray? And you were awake?
No, I woke up, I thought somebody had broke into my apartment, and lo and behold, there were these grays. And I accidentally kind of knocked one down, and he thought I was going to step on him, and he shapeshifted into my nephew. And I was
to
picking
protect
one.
himself, right?
Yeah, well, I did have one kind of choking in my hands. It's a story I've told a million times on here, so everybody's going like, no, Heidi, not again. But yeah, I was choking an alien, and then the other one shapeshifted like he thought he was next or something. So, yeah.
And that just goes to show, sweetheart, that just goes to show the power that we have as human beings.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are universal. See, they want our DNA because we're not just like some trash slave race, even though the elitists think we are. But the elitists think we are. But the Greys and everything, they all know that they need us to continue on their legacy, their genealogy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is that when we empower ourselves and we say, "Look, we're not going to have the BS," we can literally do that. And for one of your listeners.
Oh yeah, definitely. One thing I want to say though too, it's like if these things were on the up and up, they would come to us as we are, wide awake, shake our hand, have a cup of coffee, and talk it out. But no, they're sneaking like thieves in the night. So that says it all. But yeah, I've got some questions here from the lovely people in the chat room.
Sure.
Someone is asking, if you feel that alien abductions are on the decline or the rise. And any new insight? Well, we already spoke on this, what their agenda may be. So, have you noticed an increase or decline?
From talking to people that I know, and they're on a steady incline. I mean, this isn't something that's been something that's been ongoing since, I think with the 40s or the 50s, actually before that. But it's been going on for a long time, and I think what people need to understand is that the agenda is simple. They want to recycle humanity. Now, people say, and that's why I like what you said about strangling one of them, because they're not all, they're not, every being isn't negative, but my thing is, why hide?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they hiding? Why are they going behind our backs, working with governments to abduct us, take our DNA? And all of a sudden now, if this has been going on since the 40s, 50s, 60s, and these hybrids are, they are here. And I know they're here. I've seen them. And so the question is this: if we're being poisoned and our water's being poisoned, I've talked to people who just said, okay, cigarettes may affect you, but they don't affect me, and water may affect you with the fluoride, but it don't affect me. Here's the thing: if anyone doubts what I'm saying or what Heidi says, look at the math. We're being poisoned every single way you can think about. They got the FEMA camps all set up, blah blah blah. Right. So here's the thing. Why? For what? Why are we being knocked off? Because obviously we're being poisoned. There's no debating this. And then when you put the universal aspect into everything, you look at the hybrids and you think, well, are they setting stage for another version of humanity? And probably so, because it's not the first time in history that humanity's been recycled. Look at ancient Babylonian times, ancient Egyptian times. If you look at the Mayans, and even back thousands and thousands of years ago, there's been actually you can tell that history will tell you that civilizations have come and gone. No one knows where they went. They just came and went. So how about we're in the stage right now where we're about to go? I mean, it's things that make you go,
But, yeah, I hear you. And just for the record, it was a hybrid alien. I was choking. So
I believe you.
Yeah, it was crazy. But okay, I got another question here for you.
Sure.
Someone is asking, could they be preserving our race in the event we destroy ourselves, or are they creating a hybrid species to save themselves?
Well, here's the thing: who gives them the right to preserve anything?
Right.
Who gives you the right to touch me? And who gives you the right to even build your hybrid race? Okay, you're lucky I don't choke them. But I mean, and there's a lot of people who are really I'm not negative against beings that are positive. Again, I am a firm believer in love vibration. My thing is this: free will is being taken. It's being taken from humanity. And when we look at this, we say to ourselves, okay, well, people say, well, we signed a soul contract to come here. Listen, I didn't sign any soul contract. That's like saying, okay, well, I'm going to go in the Middle East and torture thousands of people and say, well, they signed a contract to be tortured, but they don't remember it. Listen, nobody signed anything. They're coming against our free will. They're abducting millions of people. And there's people who are scared, don't know what to say about it. And honestly, it doesn't matter at this point whether what I think is, there's two conclusions. There's two reasons for this. They can be preserving the race, but this is an advanced race, okay? They've been doing this since the 40s and 50s. They should have already done this shit by now. This should have already been done and over with, okay? They're still doing it. I think that they're recycling humanity. I think that I think that they think that we're trash, we're parasites to these individuals. And it's time for us to go. It's time for them to upgrade our DNA with a little extra oomph, bump up gray reptilian DNA in office. I think it's unfair, and I think that's why I'll continue to do activism, expose scumbags, and to the day they either kill me or I die of bad eating habits. but one of the two. But, and so I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think it does. And it's important to note, though, too. It's like a lot of our ex-military people are speaking up of their involvement and understanding and awareness of the level of involvement our government has had in with these alien beings. I mean, I've had the most unbelievable stories come my way from ex-military. I mean, it's just so known. And then there's somebody like myself who, I was a college student at the time, and I got harassed by government people, picking me up and questioning me
I
about
remember
aliens.
reading stuff on you about the black helicopters. Now, see, I didn't want to say anything about this, but me and my oldest daughter, and this is no joke. Yes, I'm 33, and I have an oldest daughter, a teenage daughter. I started young,
That's
but
okay.
I'm a passionate man. But I'm also passionate about humanity. But, we were walking to the pizza shop, and this helicopter literally flew down on top of these row houses at us. And me, I just gave the middle finger and waved hi. And she's like, Dad, you're crazy. And I said, get in the pizza store. So we go in the pizza store, we eat our food, we come back out, all of a sudden the helicopter comes again. I didn't tell anybody about I don't think I told anyone about that. I've had drones fly over me. And, I don't like to tell people about this because people already would say you believe in UFOs. This just makes you completely paranoid and insane. But, I commend you for being open enough to come out and say that. But as far as military members, absolutely. When I got kicked out of the military, first off, let me just say I knew it was BS and it wasn't for me. And I refused to be a product of mind control and manipulation to fight a rich man's war and so I basically said at the time, I was just getting my pinky feet wet in the universal subject, and I just threw it to the lieutenant. I said, listen, I know about underground bases, I know about shapeshifters. How about if I tell the morale of the troops that pretty much what's going on? And he's like, soldier, I got kicked out, and I think that's one of the reasons why I met the girl that I met when I was getting released from the Army. She was sent to see what I know, right? So, listen, if anyone doesn't believe me, go on my Facebook, facebook.com/PaulWesley286. Yeah, look, I just posted my military ID under the comment when I said our troops are not heroes. I said they're being manipulated by the government, that they're under my control, and it's a shame. Yeah. Check my ID out. It's on my Facebook.
Ooh,
without a shadow
those
of
are
a doubt.
strong words. I mean, for people that have given their lives, it's tough. It's tough to hear because it's people believe in their country. They believe in what's being told to them. What do you tell people? What do you tell people when you make a statement like that and and it sounds like my daughter died for this.
Right.
What do you say to them?
That's right. What do I say to them? I said that you need to
It's touchy.
Understand the dark occultists that not only run this world but control the world, and what they want to do is they not only want to depopulate the planet, but they want total control over oil and every resource that this planet has. So they basically take kids that are poor and from poor neighborhoods, mostly minorities, and they say, listen, we're going to offer you a GI Bill, we're going to offer you a bright future to travel, or you have to fight for our country. The whole ideology period of that you have to fight for a country. Listen, the world should be one. We shouldn't have borders or America and China and this and this and this and this. Okay, wars are basically started for a bunch of old men who just want to. The old men start the wars, and us poor folk, and we want to fight them. We have to understand that 90% of the population. I'm going to let you go. But 90% of the population is under mass mind control through mainstream media, through news. Mm-hmm. So when people say, "Oh, well, my son died," or "God bless America," listen, I'm all for freedom. Mm-hmm. But I'm totally against people who manipulate what they think that should be freedom and send young people to fight a war and to fight battles.
Well, one thing that a lot of people are not aware of worldwide, I have a lot of international friends, and they're not aware of the fact that our military are, yes, they're volunteers, but they're volunteers because our colleges are not free here. They don't realize how much we pay for our college. And like you said, they're given these GI Bills to go to college. I'm like, these are kids. These are kids who have nothing. who don't have a chance to have their parents even sign for a loan for them, they go into the military in hopes of bettering themselves. And yes, they do die for wrong causes oftentimes, and it's like, it's a daunting thing. And when I've told some of my international friends, they're like, what? Aren't your colleges free? What? What are you talking about? No, these are just kids who want to go to school. So they're over there. They're carrying a gun.
Right, and that's like saying, people say, okay, well, they're heroes because they're fighting for our country. That's like saying, well, there's the Bloods and Crips, the gangs in the U.S. Okay, well, the soldiers that believe mentally that they're heroes and they're doing the right thing and they're killing people overseas and they're doing this and doing that. Well, what's the difference between them and a gang in South Central IA that believes mentally they're in a gang? They believe mentally that they're protecting their territory. They believe that what they're doing is right. There's no difference. It's mass manipulation.
It's
mass
strong,
mind control.
very, very, very strong words. But I understand what your point of view, because you were.
I mean, I'm not on the show. I'm not on the show to debate.
No.
To debate that. If anyone, that's room for another show. Listen,
Yeah.
I was in the Army, and
Right.
I support anyone. I feel bad. I feel bad for the young men and women who go overseas unwillingly knowing what's going on. I feel bad for them. And this is why, when you look at the suicide rate of people who have enlisted in the Marines and Army, it's pretty much just as high as the ones who died.
Let's touch on something that you mentioned, though, too. You said that you knew about underground bases. What are you talking about?
Absolutely. Well, they're called DUMBs, Deep Underground Military Bases. Again, Dwight Schneider was murdered, obviously, over exposing these. These are underground bases where they do soul trapping, where they actually trap people's souls. We can get into that. We can get into how the moon is actually not. It's not the moon. It's actually a machine where they have bases on the moon. And, wow, that's a whole different subject.
I know what you're speaking of.
The underground base. There's different levels in Hollow Earth. Every planet in the universe and beyond is hollow, unless they're really gassy. And that's another subject. But Dr. What's his name? Dr. Valentine, you can look him up on YouTube. He actually has NASA photos that show that Earth is hollow. And there's Phil Valentine, and he says Earth is a frigging donut. The North and South Pole, there's entrances to Hollow Earth. There was an Air Force commander who, back in the 50s, flew into, I think it was the 50s, I might be wrong, but he flew into there and he was shot down. Well, most of his fleet was shot down. So they whatever you think is on the surface Earth is in on the ground where these reptilian beings live. There's different levels. There's Greys live down there. There's ancient. We'll get into that. There's the Greys live there. The white. Any being who visits Earth either goes underground or comes up here just to mingle with society. There's different levels underground, and there's it's like a paradise down there from what I hear. This isn't crazy talk. This is stuff that I was told through Dream State and other things. And
so you were having these out-of-body experiences with non-human beings that were educating you on the truth of what was going on. So did these beings, why did they come to you, and what were they really educating you about? It's like, look, this is what's going on. This is our mission. What did they explain to you?
I mean, it's not only me, but there's a lot of people who are going through what I'm going through. I think, again, I really came from a rough upbringing, and I always wondered why that was. And someone said to me, well, if you have a flower, and you want it to grow and change the world, you don't put it in a, great upbringing, because that's where these dark cultists are going to look for people. In that great upbringing, you put it in the middle of a shithole, in the middle of nowhere, then it springs, and it blossoms into this great flower. Not that I consider myself one, but I honestly, I feel that I was because of the fact that I'm so passionate about what I do, and we have to understand these beings see everything, the internet, but not the internet, different dimensions. They see
Which beings are we talking about here? Which beings?
They see everything that what's going on. What we're talking about here, the NSA, I'm sure them scumbags are monitoring this. So therefore, when I think that they literally pick individuals who choose to positively empower others. And I kind of feel on a vibrational level that I was chosen to really help not me, but any being that's positive, because a lot of that, a couple times I astral traveled, I've seen the outside of Earth, and you can see it's clear, it's hollow. You see the clouds, but you see it's hollow.
Mm-hmm.
There's massive pictures of this. This is no BS. And see, the thing is that when we get, the problem is again, people are so dumbed down through fluoride and everyone's on medication or watching Dancing with the Stars, that when you bring this type of reality into the consciousness of the average person, they think you're totally nuts. And then the people who do wake up are so afraid of what's going on that they don't want to will into existence the actual effort to change things. And that's when it really makes me angry.
Can you tell me a little bit more in regard to, I mean, these feline alien beings, they are quite different than what is usually put out there. Tell me how they first approached you, what they look like, what was said, and, how you felt about it.
Here's the thing, and this is another thing. If you live in a city, major city, you live in a row house, you have porches. You have the Masons. They have these lion beings that are on people's porches. They're either on their porches, they're protectors, or they have their paw on an actual ball, which is the universe. But that's one of the things I noticed around the city, other than a lot of other sonic things that are around the city. Now, you have to go back to the ancient human-reptilian wars. Now, first of all, humanity was created, and I heard a lot of opinions, but from what I was told, the feline race created humanity. People say, the Pleiadians are human. Yeah, but they were created by the feline race. And they battled with the reptilians over possession of Earth. It was a huge battle. There was also a battle in their planet. I think it was Vega, from what I'm getting, the Lyra or Lyra system. But I was abducted again since I was 6 years old. And what had happened was the last abduction that I had. Not abduction, but the appearance that I had was one of the tall grays, the 7-footers. And at this time, I had my youngest daughter who was, sick from the GMOs. She was, grew up disabled, grew up born disabled from the GMOs. But, so I was in an apartment with her and my ex-girlfriend at the time, and, one of the beings came through the door, and I just got up swinging. Literally got up swinging, and it disappeared. And a couple of nights after that, I had a vision where two of them came through the front door. And these two huge 9-foot-tall white feline race beings, stepped in front of me what? He's ours. Back up.
Ooh.
And that was it. And they disappeared. No more. And at that point, I had another dream state vision where I thought I was being abducted. I was taken down what looked like to be an altar of blue flame, I think it was. And I was like, oh my God, here we go. I'm being abducted. And I got this overwhelming fear, shit, this is happening. And I was brought to this being, and when I seen his face, and I seen the face of it, the overwhelming feeling of love was words can't explain it. It was like all throughout your body, and he looked at me, it looked at me, and shook its head no.
Huh.
And I was sent back, and that broke me down as a man. It broke me down as a human being, because I feel that why did it shake its head no? Was I not ready to see that? Am I doing something wrong? And that empowers me to really positively change this world, because I feel like what I seen was a being that was so full of love, and I want to see that again. I want to prove that I am worthy to be in front of that again. And I feel that this answers your question when you say, do you feel like you were chosen? I feel that I was picked out, maybe, but I feel like he shook his head like I wasn't ready, and that bothers me. It shakes my every core to the point to where, to my last breath, I'm going to make sure that I change this world, or die fighting to change this world one way or another.
Okay. Well, that's great.
That was powerful.
Yeah, no, that is powerful. But we only have a couple minutes left here, and I wanted you to get the chance to tell people how they can, view your material and hear about some of your upcoming events.
Sure, absolutely. I'm going to be doing lectures, hopefully at the University of PA. I'm going to be traveling the country, so I'm going to be basically doing what I do: independent journalism, filming activist groups, stuff like that. And Absolutely, and I also have my radio show, so you can find my work at www.princetruechaser.com and youtube.com/princetruechaser, www.facebook.com/PaulWesley286. And it was great being on.
Yeah, boy, we went from one end of the spectrum to the other to
I wish we had 2 hours of this.
In between. I always get that from people. It's like, Heidi, why don't you extend your show? I'm like, sure, that would be great. I would love to. Maybe at some point, we'll see. But Paul Wesley, I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing your experiences. It takes a lot of bravery, to come out and talk about these things, even if people don't agree with it outright and can't relate, it's good to put it out there because there is somebody out there who can relate. So I appreciate it.
The thing is, real quick before we let this go, there's going to be, for the people who don't resonate with it, I always say, don't listen to anything I say. Don't believe anything I say. Empower yourself, not only with love, but empower yourself to go out and do your own research, your own information, and whatever resonates within your heart, within your soul, you keep that, because that's the most important thing to do.
Beautiful. I can't agree with you more. If you sat here and say I have all the answers and I'm so special, I'd be like, get out of here, Paul. So
I really don't.
A beautiful way to end it. So thank you so much.
Thank
you
you.
guys, once again, we have come to the bottom of another very fascinating show. You can catch me here every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. You've been listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander.